Okay, once more, welcome to you all. So let me introduce the speaker of this session. Some of you are already familiar with him. So Dr. Manav Gupta, he is Associate Professor in Computer Science at Tennessee Tech University, USA. So he received his PhD degree from the University of Texas at San Antonio and has worked as a postdoctoral researcher fellow at the Institute for Cybersecurity, USA. He also holds an MS in Information Systems from Northern University, Boston. His primary area of research includes security and privacy in cyberspace, including AI and machine learning assisted cybersecurity, security of AI systems and their applications in technology, including assisted infrastructure, IoT, and cloud computing. He was recognized as the 2016 RSA Security Scholar and the 2019 Computer Science Outstanding Doctoral Dissertation Award. He has received several technical awards such as the 2022 and 2024 Kingslow Engineering Research Award, Wings Up 100 Award 2022-2024 at Tennessee Tech University and the University of Texas at San Antonio. He has published over 120 scholarly articles, received several Best Paper Award, and is regularly invited as a conference keynote and expert speaker globally. He has received over $12.5 million in grants from the US National Science Foundation, National Security Agency, US Department of Defense, NASA, and private industries. So, sir, welcome to this session, and the stage is yours.
Thank you. Can you all hear me? Yes. Okay. Online participants, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, well, thanks everyone for joining again. Always pleasure to be back in India and to share some of the insights that we have gained in research in some of the very important topics which has broader societal impact. Again, my topic of discussion would be on robust AI-assisted critical infrastructure security. I'll try to keep it a very high-level discussion at this point, since this is a very introductory session, and then I'm going to delve a little bit on specific use case of critical infrastructure, and then the later part of our hands-on, we will work more on get your hands dirty on different aspects and labs, and so to kind of see how these all things is bringing together to develop a critical infrastructure, a secure and robust AI-assisted infrastructure. There are two keywords here. I definitely put in AI-assisted. That's the theme of this workshop. Then there is robust, another keyword. This keyword is driven from the fact that, yes, we want AI to be there. We want to spread out, we want to throw out these AI agents across the board in critical infrastructure, but at the same time, we want them to be robust, resilient. Why? AI are black boxes, right? They're deployed in critical infrastructure. We want to make sure that they are trusted. The decisions that they're going to be making, especially when we are moving into agentic AI, where we want more autonomy, the decisions will be made by the systems that are deployed. These systems cannot be fooled. They need to be safe. They need to be secure. They need to be trustworthy. Okay? 3 key terms. So we will also talk about how we make these systems robust against adversarial attacks, evasion attacks, white box, black box, and so data poisoning attacks. So when we are developing the AI systems, what we have and what I have pushed to my students as well, not just propose an AI system. We as computer scientists, we are applying AI. We are not developing AI algorithms. We are not developing AI tools, and so we are usually, using some, existing algorithms we are training those algorithms into our data sets, we create those models, and then we deploy them in the wild, right? But at the same time, I think we have to also focus on how these models that we are developing are resilient against adversarial attacks and so. So we'll also talk about that, okay? Just a brief introduction about myself. Professor M.P. Singh has already provided, but just going over it. I am also director of the Applied and Basic Security Research Lab. I advise organizations, have been technology advisor for several of them. I am an IEEE senior member. A lot of my projects, if you will see, are at the convergence of, are converging and connected secure societies. Excuse me, IoT and cyber physical system security and AI machine learning assisted cybersecurity. And I have been receiving funding from different federal agencies in the US, the US National Science Foundation, NASA, NSA, Department of Defense of around 12.5 million. And you can look into my Google Scholar profile to see what's there, okay? I would also suggest, this is my website, it may not be most updated. This is my email. Reach out to me if you need anything, okay? Whatever resources we are doing now or other resources that we have developed, these resources are there for you to use it, okay? We are essentially, as I said, we are doing a train the trainers program, right? You guys are a conduit. You guys are going to be spreading this information that we're going to be sharing. So reach out to me if you need any resources, especially with AI assisted security. In the night, I am doing another faculty workshop with AI for security and security of AI, but that's for people in the US. But again, reach out to me if you need anything, okay? This is my website, just shoot me an email. Essentially, my research domain has been in cloud computing, IoT, critical infrastructure, security, smart farming, smart cities. I had some discussion with the Smart City Initiative by the MOHUA, the Government of India organization. Have worked with them and consulting them for some specific use cases of smart cities. Malware analysis is the application domain. We develop foundational technologies. We develop AI-assisted security, machine learning, AI. When I'm using AI, I mean, AI is a broader umbrella, right? And then we have AI, then we have machine learning, we have deep learning. LLMs are specific use cases of AI, as in agentic AI is something else. So when I'm talking about AI, I'm talking about a broader domain, okay? Adversarial security, as I said, we want to make the systems secure as well, okay? Anomaly detection, access control, some policies, formal models and stuff I have been working on. And I have used different platforms to deploy these, implement these. And when I say it's my research team that work across in different domains, okay? We extensively use AWS, Amazon Web Services, for our implementation purposes. And we also deploy our local use cases, test beds to kind of create the data sets and so, which will be used to train the models, okay? Now, what is critical infrastructure? Well, these are assets and systems which are really essential for a nation to function properly, efficiently, and for the betterment of the society and the economy, okay? If you look at this critical infrastructure, we are part of those critical infrastructure ever since we were part of the society, right? Healthcare, banking, communication, water, transportation, education, space, data, food, energy, you name it, these are all the things that we are using and are intrinsically part of it, right? Any of these we use in our day-to-day lives. Any of these, if disrupted, will have a critical impact on on us, right? Think about it. I think a couple of days ago, my brother was trying to get the passport renewed for his son, and the entire passport portal of the Government of India was down, okay? So that disrupted, the 3-4 days of downtime, it really disrupted, not just that particular moment, but the moments after that, okay? Similarly, health, we have instances where hospitals across the globe have been disrupted by ransomware attacks, right? what is a ransomware? Anybody, what is a ransomware? It's a digital blackmail. Okay. So ransomware is essentially a malicious tool or a malicious code that gets into your system and tries to freeze the assets of the system. Okay. And then once you freeze the assets, they're going to ask you a ransom to unfreeze those assets. Okay. A very common way to spread out these ransomwares is phishing emails, right? You get all these emails, these junk emails, which has those links, which inadvertently and we click on them, and that tool is deployed. Similarly, nowadays we have smishing. You have SMSs, right? SMSs have these links, so just be careful. We don't want to click those links. Okay, all of these are basically the attack vectors that get into your system and proliferate across. Okay, and these are not only for a common user with an end device, but these can happen to organizations, energy organizations. It could happen anywhere, right? Any operator working in AIIMS can click some phishing email, and the attack will go all the way to critical infrastructure, the data centers and so on, and going to freeze it. Okay. The tactics, techniques, and procedures, I mean, my attackers are so sophisticated these days, they know what they're doing. Okay. The attacker needs to have one chance to be successful. Okay. The defenders need to be aware all the time, right? So similarly, these all things, these are critical infrastructure, and includes both the physical and the digital infrastructures. Okay, we have the physical assets, and we have the digital and we have the digital infrastructure that takes into account. Digital infrastructure, when I say, is cloud based data centers and so. Okay, nowadays there is another thing called digital twins. Okay, that's another digital infrastructure that we create for the physical counterparts. I just want to bring in this figure. This is from the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And if you will see, these goals align pretty much with our critical infrastructure, right? I mean, look at the zero hunger. Definitely food is the critical infrastructure, right? Affordable and clean energy sector. Water is another critical infrastructure, right? All of these, when we are talking about a sustainable developed society, these aspects align very closely with our critical infrastructure. So when we are talking about this thing, we definitely want to make sure that these critical infrastructure are secure, provide efficiency to our society, and be able to function in a way that we are moving towards the betterment of the society. Okay. Importance of cybersecurity here. We developed our critical infrastructure. We are making our societies more connected. We are spreading out these IoT sensors, collecting data, but we are making us more vulnerable, right? A car which used to be isolated, right? Mechanical, is now connected. I mean, think about an instance where an attacker says, hey, pay me X amount of ransomware, or I'm going to freeze your steering in the middle of the road. That's possible, right? We have made these ecosystems more connected. More connected means broader attack surface. Broader attack surface means an attacker can get into the system more easily than it used to be. Okay. That leads to major downtime, as I gave an example of passport portal more recently. But think about hospitals like AIIMS, which got affected by ransomwares in 2022. Okay, a downtime in hospitals, pretty much now everything is, all your data and information, all your health records are all digital. Okay, when those are frozen, what happens? The patients won't be treated. They need to be moved out to another facility and so. Okay, it's a major loss. It impacts national security and public trust, definitely, right? There have been instances or alleged instances where your information, your biometrics from Aadhaar has been stolen, right? There has been instances. So we need to understand the gravity of these critical infrastructures and how we play to make sure they are secure, right? As a security researchers and security professionals, we can say the system is secure as if now. We cannot really say our system is 100% secure. There's nothing called 100% security, okay? There will always be new attacks that will be discovered, what you call it, zero-day attacks, which are totally novel, okay? And there would always be bugs and software vulnerabilities that will be exploited by the attackers, okay? It prevents disruptions to essential services, protects public safety and health, maintains economic stability, and safeguards sensitive data. So definitely, cybersecurity is a critical aspect when you are developing these critical infrastructures, okay? There are some global statistics that I want to bring in. Between 2023, January of 2023 and 2024, the global critical infrastructure faced over 420 million cyber attacks. 420 million cyber attacks. That approximates around 13 attacks per second. Okay? That's a humongous number. Okay? Globally. 70% of the critical infrastructure organizations at least reported one ransomware attack, 70% organizations reported, okay? And a lot of the organizations paid those ransoms as well, okay? Be it Colonial Pipeline, I don't know if you guys have heard of the Colonial Pipeline attack, I'll talk about that. These guys paid $5 million as ransom, okay? The average cost of a breach in a critical infrastructure is $4.82 million. That's a big figure. There are always new vulnerabilities that are found in ICS and SCADA systems. 1,600 plus vulnerabilities found in 2023, that's over 921. In energy sector, it rose by 59%. Just want to show you that these are real things, these are real threats that our society is facing, okay? Some Indian statistics. India faced around 1.39 million cybersecurity attacks in 23, many targeting critical infrastructures. As I said, the AIIMS Delhi ransomware, it compromised data for 3 crore patients, over 3 crore patients, and led to a 2-week shutdown of services. That's a huge loss. Not just a financial loss, but a loss to the society. I mean, AIIMS is the premier institute in India, right? Think about the downtime there. Think about the patients who are admitted there. So everything was compromised. Power grid attack in Mumbai, 2020, it was suspected that Chinese malware disrupted supply in major parts of Mumbai for hours. Similarly, there are other SCADA and ICS related incidents, and banking and finance sector also faced similar targeted attacks in India. Okay, so as I said, as our society is moving towards digitalization, connectivity, we are exposing ourselves to these attacks. Okay. Now, I think this critical infrastructure attack was not so common, but ever since then, the next war will be a cyber war. You just need to disrupt the services of the organization, of an institution, of a nation. And that started with Stuxnet. Anybody heard of Stuxnet? What is Stuxnet?
It's a virus which sits in your computer until and unless you execute its work, and silently it spreads across all the systems, especially SCADA systems.
Okay.
And then you, whenever you can try, you can activate it and disrupt the system.
Okay. Where was it first used?
Iran nuclear plant, Fordow.
Right. Somebody was doing boxing, huh? Okay. So Stuxnet was the first cyber weapon that was targeted, and it was targeted, as he mentioned, against the Iran nuclear facility. Okay, the goal was to physically damage the centrifuges. Okay, the centrifuges were spun in a way that is out of their safe range, and essentially did a physical damage, reporting, while reporting normal operations to the engineers. Okay, it was a worm that spread out, allegedly by the US NSA and the Israeli government, their agency, their agency. Okay, first instance where we can see how we can attack the critical infrastructure for an organization, for a nation. Okay, it was a worm designed for ICS, industrial control systems, exploited some vulnerabilities. Then the AIMS ransomware attack, I discussed this. All digital hospital services were paralyzed. What was the entry point? A phishing email. A phishing email. 95% of the cyber attacks happen in an organization. Why? Outdated devices, configuration issues. What else? Human. We are lazy people. Okay? Lack of human awareness. Humans are lazy. Okay? We are happy to put passwords on a sticky note and put it on the table. Right? We try to reuse the old passwords or well-known passwords. We don't even try to change the passwords of our access points. We are lazy. Okay? Humans are the weakest link. For any organization that I talk about, I think human awareness is absolutely critical to prevent. If you do that, you aware your organization, your humans who are part of this, not get deceived by these phishing emails or other attack campaigns. Social human awareness is absolutely critical. Okay, what we are doing in our organization is we do this awareness every, I think every semester we have this online training that we do. Okay, and even then we get incidents. The humans are the weakest link, because this phishing email would not have been, the attack would not have happened had that not phishing email, had that not been clicked, right? Plus on top of that, there was an unpatched system or a vulnerability that pretty much, and then there are configuration and infrastructure issues. It lagged network segmentation and backups. Okay, and with that, 3 crore patients were compromised, and AIMS had to shift to manual operations for 2 weeks, and they reportedly demanded 25 million ransom. Another one was Colonial Pipeline. Anyone heard of Colonial Pipeline attack? Now, Colonial Pipeline is essentially the largest oil pipeline in the US, which goes all the way from the Gulf of Mexico, and it sends the oil to all the northeast states. Okay, supplied over 45% of the oil in the US. What happened? That was compromised. Okay, it was forced to shut operations entirely. It took 11 days for the pipeline to recover, and it was a major disruption. It was known, it's suspected perpetrators are Russian hackers, and the threat was 5 million ransom. And when I think it is 2021, this happened. Suddenly, what was the immediate impact of this attack? Anybody? What could be an immediate impact of this attack? Rise in oil prices, right? That $2 suddenly got to $5. Okay, so this is how an attack on the critical infrastructure impacts our common, a common user, right? Our society immediately. Then there are, Ukraine's power grid outages. Russia-linked threat actors targeted, sent some, worms to critical infrastructure, deploying, to trip substation circuit breakers and so. So you name it, all organizations, intrusion attack followed by malware attack. These are pretty common things. And as I said, nations are working not at, there's the next warfare. It's a multifaceted warfare where the cyber grids, the critical infrastructure need to be resilient and be ready to face and defend these attacks. Okay. There was another attack on Pennsylvania water system where the water level, the chlorine level or some kind of a nutrient was contaminated. Okay. And that pretty much disrupted the supply of water for entire region. Now we talked about these attacks. We talked about these can happen. We looked into certain use cases. Now what is the issue, right? Why these attacks keep on happening? And it's not just critical infrastructure. Even big organizations, Google, Microsoft, Meta, all these get attacked all the time. Why these attacks happen? Main reason, yeah, from the attacker's point of view is money, but from the defenders, what's the reason? Outdated protection, limited understanding. Security was never at the core when you're developing these products. Okay, we were looking for more efficiency. Functionality was always the key goal. Security was not part of it, right? We need to foster the mindset of being security as a centerpiece when we are developing these software and tools that are going into our critical infrastructure. Okay. At the same time, our traditional cybersecurity, as AI and machine learning is getting more proliferated, it's not just the defenders who are using AI as a tool to defend, it's the attackers as well, right? Attackers are creating polymorphic malwares. The intensity of the attacks have grown substantially with AI. They are AI generated attacks, okay? We published a paper in 23, excuse me. We published a paper, 2022 ChatGPT came in, right? In November, OpenAI released ChatGPT. And the ChatGPT had so vast impact on our society. I remember my grandfather, who is 88 years old, he called me, like, what the heck is ChatGPT? Okay. It penetrated our society so widely. Okay. And so we started looking into it. It was a very early versions of ChatGPT. And then we started looking into it. We thought how these LLMs, these generative AI tools, can be used in security. Okay, we came up with a paper, and you can look it into my Google Scholar. That's possibly the first paper. The title of the paper is ChatGPT to ThreatGPT. Okay, how this ChatGPT can be used as a defense mechanism, as an offense mechanism. Any example of how it can use as an offensive mechanism? How ChatGPT can be used as an offensive mechanism? Throwing wrong results, okay. Hallucinations, as you call it, right?
Even the links also, malware links they can provide.
Malware links they can provide, okay. What else?
Even blindly the user will think that everything is correct.
Right, those are what you call as hallucination attacks. So basically blind, it will make you feel that these are the correct outputs or the reasons, okay. Those are the hallucination attacks on these generative AI tools. What else it can do? Okay, yeah. I mean, personally, I don't think there is anything called privacy. I'll be honest. Okay, when we are using Google Maps, we are sharing our location, and that's it, done. We all are on Instagrams, we all are on Facebooks, we share our locations. there's nothing called privacy. Okay, I mean, and you know, our information is all digital. Everything is digital. Everybody knows where I am right now, what I'm doing. Okay, so privacy has been a term which I use very lightly. You can use these ChatGPT for creating malwares, as simple as that. Okay, you can ask ChatGPT, can you write a code for me, for a software code for me doing XX, certain functionalities. And the earlier versions used to write it for you. Okay, as simple as that, just a prompt. So even a script kiddie has nothing, just have to supply the prompt. Okay, and ChatGPT used to create it for you, and I have shown that in that paper. Okay, ever since then they have deployed these new safeguards where they don't directly give you, but then there are things called jailbreaking and DAN prompts and so, where you can still try to fool these role play attacks, prompt engineering, where you can fool these tools to do it. But anyways, so as I said, the AI was being used. Yes.
What is the triage? The last one.
Well, that's part of an SOC. Triage is kind of, looking into the network, checking into what are the different vulnerabilities into that's available. Okay, just triaging and diagnosing the network, right? So these are some of the things. These are some of the limitations for traditional security. Inability to detect sophisticated attacks. We have zero-day vulnerabilities. What is zero-day vulnerability? What is a zero-day vulnerability? New threat. Okay, threats which are known, we have signatures, we can detect them. But then there are new threats. There are zero-day vulnerabilities because the defender has 0 days to patch those things. Okay, those are zero-day vulnerabilities. So these, the signature-based approaches could not detect these new sophisticated attacks. So, cannot detect zero-day vulnerabilities. They are mostly reactive, not proactive. Reactive means an attack happened, they then react to it, not just prevent it. Okay, the human dependency and slow, SOCs and human manual triage and response time is extremely slow. There's alert fatigue. There is poor scalability. Right now we are getting humongous amount of data, which may not be, it's not designed to handle this massive data. Systems are very siloed, limited correlation, and limited adaptive learning. Traditional systems do not really evolve. And then we moved on to AI-assisted cybersecurity. You can do real-time threat detection. You can use machine learning to analyze the streams of data, and based on that, you make a decision. You prevent an attack to happen. Okay, it detects anomalies, zero-day threats, insider attacks in real time. It also does predictive analysis and proactive defense. These AI models can really anticipate threats. Okay, looking into the TTPs, the reconnaissance, right? All these things, they can somehow predict with certainty that certain attack could happen. They are faster response. It automates detection, triage, remediation processes. Okay, they're fast in responses. It reduces human workload. Definitely, it reduces human workload. It's more behavior-based analysis. It looks into the behavior of the system and see if it is a normal behavior or an anomalous behavior. Okay, and are scalable and could be integrated with threat intelligence. AI, this integrates external threats for contextual understanding and enhances situational awareness. So these are some of the reasons why we want to have AI-assisted cybersecurity. Now, I talked about in general idea of what the need of cybersecurity in critical infrastructure. Now, I'll briefly talk about a particular use case. I quickly go over and skim through what we have done for smart farming. Okay, India, an agriculture society, an agrarian economy, we need to have these infrastructure to be secure, right? We are moving towards farming which is smart, precision agriculture, right? Smart farming, we have these drones that are flying over our fields to do sprays. We have our systems who are going to be monitoring the soil moisture and automatically trigger water sprinklers if the soil level is, the moisture level is low, monitor the CO2 and other nutrients level and so, okay. Now as we are moving towards more smart farming domain, we need to make it, this is secure, right? We need to prevent what you call, there is a term that is used as agro-terrorism, okay? We don't want our smart farming and our domains, our fields to be compromised, okay? So I'll briefly go over, this work is part of a PhD dissertation which one of my students just graduated, Lopa, and actually she will be the one who will also be helping in the hands-on session which we are following up in the next two, afternoons, okay. If there are questions, you can ask her as well, okay. So I'll just quickly go over what we have done in this. So there is cooperatives in smart farming, right? There are individual farms which have their own infrastructure, right? First of all, are we all agreeing that agriculture is a critical domain for us? It is, right? And we are moving towards smart farming. Do we all agree? Not at the, it may not be at the small scale farmers, right? But definitely medium and cooperatives, and at a broader, at a large scale, we are moving towards efficiency in smart farming domains, okay? And then there is something called cooperatives, right? In India, there are a lot of cooperatives. There are smart farming cooperatives, there are dairy cooperatives. Everyone have heard of Amul, right? Amul is a cooperative, right? Where we are bringing in resources, pooling resources from multiple organizations. It's a cooperative. Similarly, we have cooperative smart farming. In cooperative smart farming, what we have is we have multiple smart farms. There is one smart farm. This is second smart farm. I'm just showing the architecture here. Then each of them have their own gateway router at the edge. They're going to be collecting the data, filtering the data, and then send it to a cloud server. That cloud server do analysis, monitoring, and then a farmer can really do analysis, monitoring, request through the APIs provided by the cloud provider to know the health of the farm in real time, okay? This is a cooperative smart farming. The benefits of cooperative smart farming are, for example, you share the resources. You share the resources, that means possibly some farms have, X sensors and other farms have different types of sensors. Now, can they share that information to provide more data-driven applications? Okay, in this case, we are getting more efficient. We are not, multiplying the same set of sensors across the same geography. It does not make any sense. We are just spreading out different sensors, and then we are collecting the data together to do some analysis, okay? The goal here is how a small scale farmer can bring in and utilize the resources, not just from their farm, some digital resources from, not just from their farm, but all the other member farms to get some AI assisted services, okay? In this case, the cost of making a smart farm is significantly reduced because the farmer does not have to buy in all those sensors. At the same time, they are using the services and the data that is generated by other farms, okay? The goal here is how we can make this entire ecosystem secure as well as privacy aware, okay? Privacy aware, why? Farmers are not very keen to share the data with other farmers, okay? So we have to make sure that the data is not itself shared. There should be some another way to be able to share pseudo data, so to say, and still be able to provide AI assisted services to all the member farms. In this case, I'm just using two smart farms, but then there could be, a cooperative can have thousands of farmers and thousands of farms, okay? And then this cooperative smart farming, the security of this cooperative smart farming is absolutely critical as well. There has been ransomware attacks and all different types of attacks that have happened across the board, okay? Why now in cooperative smart farming, as I'm saying, there are thousands of farmers, right? This becomes an easy target for attackers to do large scale attacks. How can an attacker do a large scale attack in cooperative smart farming? Attacking one farm can pretty much proliferate the attack across 1,000 farms. Okay? They can compromise the data that is shared essentially by all the different farms, and then the decision making at all the other farms which are using the same data is kind of compromised and corrupted. Right? That leads to an attack on a single farm could endanger the security and the operations of all the member farms. Okay? And that can allow the attackers to remotely control and exploit on-field sensors and devices and so. So if you look at this figure, here is an attacker. Attacker is just trying to compromise one farm. That farm is compromised, the attack data is shared, is compromised. For example, if the farm is saying my CO2 level is, for example, 50, okay, and the farmer makes it to 150. An attacker makes it to 150, okay. Changing that value, that changed value is shared with all the other farms, and then the other farms make decisions based on this changed value, okay. Now attack on one farm pretty much proliferated the attack on other farms. It's a large scale attack that I can do with this ecosystem, okay. So this is one of the limitations of cooperative smart farming, which we want to make sure we prevent it, okay. Any questions so far?
What is the size of the farms?
In this case, well, again, keep in mind this is a PhD dissertation, so it's all prototype based, okay.
You have bigger SCADA
Yeah.
for 1 lakh, 2 lakh hectares.
Right.
Then if I involve all of these, it will become a problem. Whom to educate, whom not to educate.
Right, right. I mean, the large scale scalability, I mean, you need to have awareness. I mean, so here is the thing, right? If you are making your farmers efficient and secure, and we want to make sure that they use smart technologies, then definitely there is an awareness that is needed at the farmers level too, right?
That's why digital agriculture goes with social sciences.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree to that. I totally agree to that. Especially when you're talking about small scale farming industry. Absolutely, I agree. So this is what we did. This is the entire dissertation what we did. Okay, we identified the challenges, then we deployed a use case, then we developed a test bed. So we created a test bed using different. We created, I think, 2 or 3 smart farms, which has different kind of sensors, different network data that was generated, and then we generated the network data set. Then we did different types of attacks on this test bed. Okay, we did DOS attack and a deauthentication attack. I'll show you which attacks did we do. Okay, so basically, what was the goal here? We kind of collected benign data or normal farm data, and then we did the attacks, and then we collected malicious network data, attack data. Okay. Now I had both the data that is required to train our models. Okay. Then we did some edge-based network anomaly detection. We used some CNN transformer models. We also did federated learning, because I don't want to share the raw data with other farms. There needs to be a federated learning based approach where we are just sharing the model gradients. Okay. And then we did adversarial attacks on federated learning. Now, adversarial attack in this case is, for example, can a local model is fooled to change my global model? I'll show you about that, okay? Tweaking the local model, because in federated learning there are concepts called global model and local models, right? If you can change one local model, it will change the global model, right? And then that could lead to adversarial attack and some explainability aspects as well. Anybody heard of explainability? What is explainability?
Yeah, yeah. All AIs are not black box models. It is supposed to be more explainable.
Right.
So I think we have to start with that only in our irrigated forms.
Right. I mean, you need to
Injustice, a lot of quarrels, drone attacks, everything will take place.
Yeah. So we need to. That's why I say, when we work on a PhD dissertation, we need to not only develop the models but also. But it's a touch screen. I see. Not only we develop the models, we also look into the adversarial to make the entire system robust, right? And then the explainability comes into the picture. This is again another test bed in an architecture. We have the physical layer. These are different sensors that we did. We connected these sensors to Azure Digital Twin, Grafana, client applications, SQL, PHP. Created an interface for that, for SmartFarm A, then SmartFarm B at the edge. And then we also had this AWS NoSQL database deployment, some cloud application, and same Grafana visualization at the global level. So this is a 3-layer architecture that we did. The first thing was we created this model corruption on the digital twin. So what we were doing is we created the digital replica of the smart farms. What is the digital twin? Anyone heard of a digital twin?
Some kind of a simulated version of a physical device which performs almost similar to the user.
Right. So it's a digital replica of our physical environment. Okay. For example, we have a nuclear power plant. Okay. We can create pretty much a digital replica of that power plant to kind of forecast and predict the behavior of sensors in the system. Okay. That can not only be the behavior but also looking into forecasting the attacks on the system. Okay. The first thing we did here was we kind of corrupted, we did some model corruption attacks. We corrupted some of the models that are deployed in the digital twin. We did some attacks there. And these are different. I think this is one of the AWS interface that we used to create the digital twin. Okay. Yeah. So these are the different attacks, as I said, we did at multiple farms. So what we were doing, our goal was, let's suppose smart farm A is got an SQL injection attack. Okay. When we are talking about this cooperative smart farming, we have thousands of farms associated, right? An attack on one farm, if it is detected, we want to make sure that other 999 farms are made aware that this kind of an attack could happen with you guys, okay? We need to quickly share those anomaly profiles or attack profiles with other farms so that they are ready, we should be able to quickly deploy the model at the local level so that they can detect these new attacks that are happening, okay? So what we did was, we did certain attacks on SmartFarm A. In this case, we did deauthentication, R poisoning, SQL injection, port scanning attacks. On SmartFarm A, similarly, we did different kinds of attacks. SmartFarm B, Evil Twin, fingerprinting, DNS spoofing, and so, okay? Now, the goal here is an attack that is detected on SmartFarm B could not be detected on SmartFarm A because the model is old, okay? It's an obsolete model. Similarly, something that is on A cannot be detected on B. The goal, what we want is, we need to quickly share that the attack has happened, quickly share the models have been updated so that the attack cannot be proliferated at a large scale. An attack has stopped at one farm and that's it, done. So the key research questions that we did was, can the network anomaly detection model be deployed at the edge to process both the network and the physical data, and including the digital twin data? Also, is the model capable of accurately detecting anomalies in real time to enable the smart farm to halt data transmission? For example, a smart farm A was sharing some information with other farms, and an attack was detected on smart farm A. Now in that case, what do you want to do? You want to isolate that farm from contributing to our cooperative system, right? So this is what it means. And then how we can efficiently deploy at the edge some compression techniques, because edge is a very scarce resource, right? There is a difference between an edge and a cloud, right? Edge is a very scarce resource. So we want to still deploy a machine learning model which is compressed without significantly compromising the detection accuracy. Okay, these are the three research questions that we did for the edge. This is the architecture at the edge. I think I'll skip this again. This is, we have the CNN. We use the CNN transformer based anomaly detection. We trained the model. This is the edge layer. An attacker is doing an attack in this farm. This is a virtual layer of the network traffic data. Some synchronization, packet auditing, physical layer, some tools are used for simulation as well. And then if an attack happens here, it needs to stop here. It's an edge-based anomaly detection architecture. Okay. We deployed this. Again, there is no particular reason why we use this CNN transformer-based anomaly detection. You can also use some other tools or some other models as well. But in this particular case, we found that CNN transformer had a much better accuracy as compared to others. Right. So in here you can see the accuracy. We have random forest, we have CNN, we have CNN LSTM, but the CNN transformer definitely had higher accuracy and F1 score as compared to others. Okay. So this is a comparison of CNN transformer models versus traditional machine learning models. Okay, same in here too. Yes.
Sir, in the previous slide, even in this one, here it is mentioned like we trained the model, but there are some attacks that is having zero vulnerability test, that is new for the system. Zero vulnerability test kinds of threat. How AI would address that, sir? If data is not available, then how we train that model?
That's what we are doing with the federated learning. We are saying that smart farm A does not have any idea about X number of attacks. Smart farm B has the data about other set of attacks. How we are sharing the anomaly profile across different farms, so that now smart farm A, earlier which was not aware of the attacks which happened on smart farm B, is able to train this model. His model is trained in that way. Okay. So in that case, some zero-day vulnerability which was happening at smart farm A will not be anymore, because it has been shared with the anomaly profile of attacks which are happened at smart farm B. Now it's more generalized model in that case. Of course, there would be new attacks that will come into play, which are definitely zero-day for all the farms, and yes, there is an issue there. Yes.
Sir, one same question. Blockchain can be used
I mean, blockchain for what?
for transmitting the information.
I mean, blockchain, the major problem with blockchains have been efficiency of how quickly we can transmit the data, right? And in these cases, I really don't see any reason why we want to, in this case, we are actually not sharing the data, we are sharing the model parameters, model gradients, right? I don't know whether a blockchain would be an ideal case in this.
That's all cumbersome. Federated learning, global, local, we have to take.
Right.
Train them.
Right. I mean, here is the thing, right? Once you deploy these models, everything is automated. You have your training. You don't want, there is a privacy component involved. You don't want to share the data beyond your local boundary. And that's where that's what the beauty of federated learning is, right? That's what federated learning is known for. You don't share the data beyond your local, you just share the model gradients, and then the model is over the time it achieves certain accuracy that the same model is deployed across the board for different farms. And that's what we are doing here. We are sharing the anomaly profiles, the attacks at multiple farms, and then we train our global model in such a way that all the models at the local level which are deployed are able to can adapt to this new attacks. So these are our answers to some of these questions. We created the edge based, and then the real time was there, and we had some model compression techniques where we can definitely deploy efficiently without compromising the detection accuracy. However, as I said, an attack on smart farm A cannot be detected at smart farm B. My models are local. My models do not understand new attack which happens. The edge-based network anomaly detection can only detect cyber attacks on its edge and fails to detect any new attacks on the other smart farms. Okay, if there are attacks happening to other smart farms, they cannot detect it. Okay, because my model is not trained in such a way. What do? We do create federated learning. This is what a federated learning looks like. You have local clients, each are training locally their own models. Instead of sharing the data, we share the model gradients. So privacy of the individual clients is still preserved. Okay, we are not sharing the data, we are sharing the model gradient. So there is a data privacy component. You still share the knowledge. Okay, it can help in preventing some zero-day attacks. As I said, an attack which happened on smart farm B can now be detected at smart farm A as well, because we are sharing the attack and anomaly profiles. There is a detection, and resource and data utilization efficiently. Okay, this is what federated learning looks like. How much time I have?
Any other example of federated learning?
Any other, use case where federated learning can be used? So in the US context, I'll give you, right? So there are national labs in the US, right? There is Oak Ridge National Lab. There are different national labs. So they want to share the information. In this case, federated learning is used. Okay, they share the information in such a way.
You said they share the model but not the data.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The information is the model. That's what I was saying. If they're working on a problem that is across the board without sharing their local data, right? In that case, they can still train a global model and do it locally, the computation locally, without sharing the model itself. Okay, so in that case, they don't share the data, but they still use the same global model. Okay, what other examples can be? Any other?
Google.
Excuse me?
Google keyboard.
Google keyboard. Can you explain that?
So when we type something, then on the upper side of the next repetition. Yeah, next repetition will be taken. So that is also taken from the global mode.
Okay, so Google, they have the global model which you keep on training. Okay, that's another example. Okay. Yeah. So another question is, how much time I have? 30 minutes. Okay. So another thing is federated learning based networks. So we saw that there are limitations of edge based approach because the farms cannot detect attacks which are happening on other farms in the same cooperative. Okay, so can we use federated learning based anomaly detection, which can quickly share anomaly profiles with each other for fast response and mitigation. Okay, here fast response and mitigation is extremely critical because attack can proliferate so quickly. So our goal here is what? We need to be sharing the anomaly profiles faster than the proliferation of the attack, and then at the same time train our global model and spread out that global model locally to the edges. Okay, and that also drives our second question: is it possible to enhance the communication efficiency in the federated learning setup by applying model compression techniques during model updates, and then looking into different federated learning aspects. Okay. Okay, this is a pretty heavy picture. I'll try to decipher it for you. This is what we developed. We developed a federated transfer learning dynamic low rank, FEDTDLR. We have the smart farms, we have the edge layer, we have the cloud layer. Okay, we have the local network data set. There are some local weights, metrics, some compression is happening here. I will share you the, if you are interested, I will share you the paper which details all of this architecture. Okay, shoot me an email or you can find it on my Scholar. That talks about how we created this architecture. Okay, similarly, so the first step is the data is shared. Then there is some pre-trained models. We use some pre-trained models. What is a pre-trained model? There's a model that are already trained, which you can use, right? In that case, you don't have to train the model from the very scratch. There are models which are trained already, and then you can use that model, and the training of those models will be quick on your data set.
Like a YOLO model.
Right, yeah. So there are pre-trained models that are used, okay? You use these pre-trained models, and then using those pre-trained models, you fine-tune your model using the local data set, right? That's number 4, right? These are pre-trained models at the cloud. Then you fine-tune those models on your data set, okay? Then you do some local weight and you do some compression. Then you upload the parameters, model gradients and other parameters for model aggregation. What is model aggregation? Well, you are aggregating multiple models, right? Because you have those gradients that are transferred from multiple smart farms. Okay, so you have this model aggregation, and then you define those global weights and download, and this is your new model that is deployed. Okay, this is the entire architecture of your federated transfer learning algorithm. Why transfer learning? Because we use some pre-trained models. We need to use some pre-trained models because we want to make the system real-time and efficient. Okay. Again, if you want more details, just look into the paper. I'll share you the paper. Here are some results. We analyzed how our approach works, and you can see the efficient. This model has the highest accuracy, and similarly the F1 score for different federated rounds. So we deployed this model at our local edge. Okay, we in this figure we are pretty much trying to see all of these models, which one will work best in our scenario, in our architecture that we developed. So with this, we have around 96-97% accuracy, and similarly the same level of F1 scores that we achieved. Training time was also critical for us. In this case, we had a significant, we still have a significantly lower training round after X number of federated rounds that we did. Performance analysis of different anomaly detection models on different farms. In our approach, the efficient net B0 anomaly detection approach, you can see that, well, this is the base approach. Okay, and in this case, we are not sharing any anomaly profiles. In this case, we are sharing anomaly profiles, and now with the sharing of anomaly profiles, you can see that the attacks that are happening on different farms have been shared, the anomaly profiles have been shared, and both the farms can pretty much significantly detect the attacks that are happening in the system, okay, as compared to here where the attacks were not the attack profiles were not shared, okay. The sharing of the attack profile is happening because of the federated learning environment. And then the other part is the memory consumption. We are just looking into how efficiently, you know, with limited memory resources, we can deploy the system. So our hypothesis is, yes, federated learning network-based anomaly detection can quickly share profiles with each other for faster response. Its communication is efficient, and efficient NetB0 is the most accurate transfer learning model for small-scale distributed machine learning, distributed learning and minimal training time, okay. Next is, quickly I'll go over the adversarial attack, okay. I talked about the adversarial attack, I'll just quickly go over. So in the adversarial attack, what's happening is you can do some poisoning, you know. This is one farm. What we are doing is we are doing some data poisoning. What is data poisoning? Anybody? What is data poisoning? Excuse me? Yeah, poisoning some of the data on which the model is trained, okay. So pretty much an insider can change some data features and their values locally, so that the model that is trained locally is compromised, which essentially compromises the global model as well. And that is inspired by SHAP. SHAP is an explainability tool which inspires you to see, which gives you the information on which are the parameters which are key in making a model to decide, okay. So what's happening here is an attacker attacks one client farm. Then this is the local model. You know, it computes some of the important features, how that model make that classification. So that's SHAP. I'll show you what a SHAP looks like. Yeah, this is how a SHAP analysis will look like on a smart farm, okay. It basically says that TCP.ACK, some of the features had more impact on how the model makes some classification, okay. Some of the features like flags and so, they had minimal impact, okay, and making the model classify in a particular way. So this is SHAP analysis. So what the attacker is doing is, doing the SHAP analysis, the attacker needs get the information of what are the key features and important features that are used by the model to make a decision, okay. What is the most optimal way that attacker can make changes to those features that will change the model, okay. That's what's happening here. The attacker changed the model. It computed important features. It generated adversarial data because of, you know, those features, injected on the training data set, and now retraining the model. Once that poison data is injected into the training data set, what happens? My model is compromised. That's the data poisoning, okay. And then my local model is compromised. That local model gradients are shared with the global model. My entire global model is compromised. So my entire system is compromised in that way. So that's an adversarial attack that can happen, okay. And this is pretty much, this is an extra informed step here, where which we can say is an explainability informed adversarial attack, because explainability give me the key features and I use those key features to poison those features and then reuse to train a model, okay. That's an explainability informed attack. So yeah, this is what we did, okay. So basically we started from the, what was the first step? We created the test bed. Second step, we created an edge-based system. We found that there are problems with the edge-based system because the edge-based cannot detect attacks that are happening across the board. Then what we did? We found that federated learning based approach can help us in sharing those anomaly profiles quickly so that all my farms can detect attacks that are happening across the board, okay. And the last thing is how we can make these models robust against adversarial attacks. So we did the adversarial example, how we can poison the data, and then we retrained these models on poisoned data to be able to robustify our entire ecosystem. Okay. So these are different steps that we did. Now I just quickly go over, this. We are talking about AI. We are talking about why we need AI. I gave you an example of how AI-based smart farming can be made secure. But then we also look into the safe, secure, and trustworthy AI. Okay, we as individuals, I think, as academicians and researchers, it's our responsibility that we also focus not only on development of AI, deployment of AI, but also making sure that students understand the safety and the security and the trustworthiness of the use of AI, especially when we are developing these systems into critical resources such as nuclear power plants, right? So this is how it started, right? This is how these LLMs started, right? You guys remember 2023 March, these all popped up, right? I think we have gone a long way from here. The good side is, we have looked into AI early detection in healthcare, robotic surgery, in AI tutors, in automated grading improves learning, businesses, fraud detection, environment. It also helps in climate prediction and so. AI's ugly side, there are privacy breaches, right? Deepfakes, we can see how quickly the deepfakes are coming in. Autonomous weapons, job displacement and economic inequality, biased decision making. I'll give an example. Amazon, right? Everyone heard of Amazon, right? Amazon recruitment tool, it was AI driven tool which was biased against women of certain color. Okay, when you submit a resume, okay, that tool was filtering out certain resumes which were belonging to women of certain color. Color means, black or so, right? So there's a bias there. There was a bias in the algorithm itself, the AI that was deployed to filter out those early resumes. Okay, so that's a big challenge here. Cybersecurity threats, manipulation, financial market manipulation. But I believe that there is a bigger threat here when we are using AI. Anybody else? What else threats are here? What could be a more ugly side to AI? People are more dependent on AI. What does that mean? Excuse me? Fake information, okay. What else? That's a very good point, right? Our critical thinking ability has dropped down, right? You have ChatGPT, you supply a prompt, it will give you a framework to work with. And there was a research from Microsoft that talks about how AI has, downsided the critical thinking ability of even children, high schoolers and middle schoolers who are using AI for everything.
That's why in Switzerland they stopped AI education till 10th standard.
Right. I mean, they have stopped it formally, but students can still access it, right? They are not using in education in schools, but their students are still accessing it. So that has really compromised the critical thinking ability of our kids, and even for us too, sometimes, right? That's why I always see AI is never a replacement for humans, right? It should be a complement. It should be a tool. We should, in our education and in our university, we are promoting the use of AI. We want our kids to be able to harness the power of AI to do coding. Okay, but at the same time, you cannot really believe these AIs. You still need to have that fundamental foundational understanding. Okay, when you are developing these codes and so it should be a complement. Right now the workforce, everybody wants somebody in AI. Okay, there was a circular from Salesforce, I believe, talking within their team that, hey, if you want to hire somebody new, then first tell us why AI cannot do it. Okay, that was their circular. First you tell us why AI cannot do it. And if AI cannot do it, then what expertise we don't have, right? They are supposed to convince their leadership that AI cannot do it and we need an individual to do it. Okay, that's where the society is moving towards, right? So we need to make sure that our students and everybody are aware of these things. Okay. There is a trustworthy AI framework. I think this is developed by I think Deloitte. Yeah, it was developed by Deloitte. The key things here, we need to maintain the privacy. How AI is working should be transparent and explainable. You need to explain that this is not a black box. You don't know why. You know how that AI came up with this example, okay, with this output. This is extremely critical, this framework. It should be fair and impartial. It should be responsible. Somebody has to be accountable, needs to be robust and reliable, and safe and secure, okay. I don't want to get into too much details of this. You can find out this. This is from Deloitte. Very nice framework. We try to use it in every day. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it from my side. Thank you for listening, and thanks for discussion. And I'm open to questions, concerns, suggestions, or anything else you